In this closing session, we talk about excess payments. So basically, I've posed a few questions just to actually help us with the direction of how to have a process of dealing with this situation. So here I've written, when is it payable? That will give us the idea as to when the time of supply is. And I've also gotten down here and say, what is the value of supply? This would be a pretty obvious scenario. Can it be claimed back in terms of VAT? So that will also be a scenario that we get to basically just get into more detail. So in red over here, what I've given basically, I've said we've got an invoice for 600 rands. A particular customer was invoiced for that amount. Let's say he was invoiced on the 1st of Jan 2023, right? And he makes invoice back to us on the 30th of Jan 2023. He makes payment to us of $900 on this date, though he was originally invoiced for $600. So ideally, what are we saying? When we invoice this data originally in our books, what we did have, we had 600 rands times 15 over 115. That would have given us our input VAT claim, which would have been which would have been 78 rands input VAT. So this we claim in terms of the actual data hadn't been invoiced, because he was invoiced on the principle of saying VAT takes precedence on the actual earlier of invoicing or actual receipt of payment. In that instance, we invoiced him for 600 rands, and this is the input VAT that we would have claimed upon having made that sale to him. So consequentially now, he pays us back on the 30th of January 900 rands, even though he owes us 600 rands. Therefore, that means there's an excess payment of 600 rand. At that point, when we got this excess payment now, which we didn't account for when we originally invoiced this person, because we invoiced them for 600, not 900. So this was not accounted for. So at that point, when we get the amount, this 300 rands would likely be put into some sort of account that we call a placeholder account, or a suspense account, because it's not our money. We're not supposed to be getting that money. However, say that now time goes by in terms of January, February, March, April, May. So 4 months now has elapsed. When 4 months has elapsed, now this money, which is now in our account, now needs to be recognized as an income to us. So we definitely debit, and we would basically put this into our income. So we basically credit our income 300 rands, right? And we obviously debit our bank but never mind the bank. The bank would have obviously been there because the money would have been in our bank account. But at that time, because we had put it into a placeholder account, which was the suspense account, so at that time now, we would have maybe made use of our basically recognizing an income. And subsequently, because 4 months has passed, we need to now recognize an output VAT on this amount, even though it was not accounted for originally. SARS wants a piece of this now. So we would definitely then go on to say we must recognize an output VAT due payable to SARS of 39 rands. Right. 39 rands, because SARS wants this money back. This is a sale, he wants it back. Excuse us for this. This was output, not input. Output. This was output VAT because we're selling. So SARS would want us to now recognize this amount. So it gets payable after 4 months has elapsed. So that's what we must be aware of. So this is the scenario that would have happened. So the time of supply for this excess payment would be 4 months later after the actual transaction, the actual amount had been paid, and we then have to process an output VAT which is payable over to SARS. What is the value of supply really now? It's basically based on amount that is received. Amount that is received. In this instance, it would be the 300 rands. Right. Can it be claimed back? Yes. If now subsequently the actual debtor gets identified and you subsequently now pay him back his money, then we basically, obviously we would have credited bank now because money is going out of our account. We give him back his 300 rands, and we would have maybe debited, would now debit some sort of a loss to us now, because it's not money that we're meant to have. So debited loss, 300 rands, So based on this debit of a loss, we then claim input VAT of 300 rand in terms of VAT. So input VAT claim back for us, that SARS now needs to pay back to us, which is 39 rands payable back to us. And that is what we should be expecting in a situation where we're dealing with excess payments, basically. So that's what we basically need to be very much aware of. So in a question, it can be hidden where an invoice was processed, the customer gets invoiced, and he pays a certain amount which is above the invoice amount, and of course then it does not basically claim back the money for a certain time duration, and we have to basically get into that conversation. And just for exam technique purposes, just let the examiner know that that will be recognizable as income to us now 4 months down the line, where SARS would also want to have like an output VAT process so that he gets his portion of the actual amount now being recognized as revenue in our books. And as a result now, you would also have the possibility of the money being claimed back if the actual debtor gets located somehow. So these are some of the principles that we must be very cautious about. In terms of recognizing the money as income, it may be a great area there, but we can't really, I don't really think that we can recognize it as a loss because there is no loss to us, so I think eventually if SARS wants an output, ideally it's based on the principle of us having made revenue out of that output being claimable by SARS, and that's where we are in terms